So you're telling me that a majority of how we look at problems when it comes to the state solving them or causing them, we can either look at the state as the cause of our problems and abandon it, or look at it as the solving to our problems and embrace it.
No, the state is both the cause and it is assumed to be the solution. It can't cause them, and definitely it cannot solve them, because the state is just man writ large.
Mm.
You make a state depending on your condition. You make a state to do your own interests, to serve your own interests. So a selfish man makes a state to act in a selfish way, and if it is acting in a selfish way, it cannot solve universal problems.
So this manner that has been moving the political sphere, especially in Africa, of protesting, of revolting against the current status quo. But we have already established that the masses are stupid. So
it doesn't matter what age they are stupid.
Precisely.
In fact, the younger they are, the more stupid they are.
Right. So then, if we know that people don't necessarily value education, but we do value information, right? How then, you ask me, what is an informed voter? How then would you define an informed voter?
A selfish one.
A selfish one. So
at least he knows what he wants. If 1,000 selfish ones were to negotiate frankly, and they bring their selfishness, you put it on the table, at least you get an alliance of some selfish individuals who are already declared exactly what it is that they want. If they can be the majority, then definitely you'll have a better state.
For them?
No, for everybody. Because if it is good for the majority, then it is good for everybody.
Okay. So now, we noticed in the American elections that single issue voters, right? Like people who voted based on abortion, they did not care about any other issue that was on the ballot. And that's what caused a lot of the losses that occurred in the Democratic Party.
And you see, when we talk of the stupidity that there is, if you do the demographics, you find the ones who were so passionate about abortion, especially anti-abortion, are menopausal women. It doesn't affect them.
Right.
So they decide an outcome of an election which will allocate resources on their behalf on issues that are completely of no relevance to them. And that is why I'm telling you, a selfish voter is a better voter. These people are voting on an issue that has absolutely no bearing for them.
So if we're going to capture the peasant, then we have to capture his intelligence. We have to capture his need or lack thereof for information. How do you do that?
An intellectual person doesn't exist.
So if an intellectual peasant doesn't exist, then do you capture them by propaganda? How do you capture a peasant?
Aha! Now you are there. You capture them by propaganda. But the person who is designing the propaganda knows when to use the propaganda, that is during election time. But after elections, you know how to make good policies, but still coated with some propaganda. Because that is the only way the masses can consume it. Think of think of your bitter medicine that you must sugarcoat it to make it easier to swallow. That you must consult some highly intellectual people to tell you the shape that medicine must be for it to be easier to swallow. Think of the consultations you must make for that tablet or whatever medicine there is to be consumed either as slowly as you want or as fast as you want. That must be the leader.
This is why they say it's easier to insult people than to show them they've been insulted.
Exactly.
I understand.
If you insult them well, they'll clap. And this is why we were clapping at Trump, saying, I can go to the middle of Fifth Avenue, shoot somebody, and nothing will happen to me. He tells them exactly as it is.
Wow. So then now we can actually break down some of these moral dilemmas that are void in political conversations, right? We talk about these political conversations sometimes specifically with issues. We talk about them specifically in terms, but we never get to their broad overlying concepts that help people really understand, the more commonplace, simple mathematical equations of politics, right? So if propaganda is how you capture the peasant, then why isn't it that the more intelligent people are able to use propaganda, the more intelligent and benevolent people are able to use propaganda as effectively as the intelligent, malevolent people?
Well, you see, you mixing two things. Intelligence there is irrelevant because, especially this day and age, what explains somebody with no brains like Taylor Swift breaking the record of the most read book? What are they reading?
I don't look at intelligence as a matter of content. I look at it as a matter of outcome. Outcome is
Yeah,
the
but
greatest mark of intelligence. Someone with the
no,
desired outcome that if someone gets the outcome they set out to achieve, like Taylor Swift, her outcome was to sell those books, and she did it. So therefore, she is intelligent. Whether or
but
not
you
the
see,
book has an intelligent has intelligent content does not mean Taylor herself is not intelligent.
again, mistaking a result for the cause. This is not Taylor setting out to sell a book. This is somebody else realizing we can cash in on Taylor's popularity to sell anything, including a book.
Mm.
If Taylor was to sell a blank book for $200, it will still sell. And she will say, I am selling this book so that every time I bring an album, you have enough pages to write all the songs. They will still buy. It has nothing to do with the quality of anything. And now I'll tell you, if Taylor Swift now was to say, let's elect Kelsey as our president, they will buy it, especially the women, because they all want a Kelsey.
So then essentially politics is about understanding power and your relation to it.
It is the art of the possible. That is what they say. As long as you understand those things, you get there. But then
The
there's an
art of the
element of
possible.
stupidity.
You said the art of the possible.
Yeah, it is the
Explain
art
that.
of the possible.
Explain that.
You see, what I've just told you, there is a Taylor Swift there. What can we make out of her? How can we use her to get power? She can't be the power, but we can use her to get to power. Let's market Kelsey. Let's control Kelsey, but market him and use Taylor Swift. We know Taylor Swift cannot become president, but we can use her to make a president. We know how bad single issue voters are, but that will be our way of getting the next president. We know with them it is possible to get it. It is what you know. It is what you can make possible that determines politics. We know we do not want to put money in black schools, but how can we do it in a way that they believe we have put money there?
Wow. So politics is on paper who gets what, when, and where, but in practicality is who thinks what about what?
No. Who distributes what in a way that is acceptable? It has never been defined as a fair distribution of resources. No.
I'm starting
In fact,
to question everything I've learned about political science. And this is simply because theory and practice are so different in political science than they are in other areas. And it's very hard to reconcile intellectually, right?
no, actually, by the way, they are closer than you think. Think of Plato's Republic.
Okay.
He tells you point blank there are people who are never meant to be rulers. Do you disagree with that?
No, I
There are
don't.
people who can't. There are people who can't make rulers. There are people only who are good to be buffalo soldiers. The only mistake we make is when they are the best buffalo soldiers, we believe they can be best politicians. No, they are good as soldiers, foot soldiers. Again, you assume because somebody is highly educated, then they can make a better president. Or you assume that because society is, to quote you, very informed, that they will have good leaders. Take America, for example. They were still thinking of making Dead Joe a president for another 4 years. The guy can't even walk.
Yeah, there was a congresswoman who was missing for 4 months and she was in a nursing home the entire time because she has dementia.
Exactly. Even the electors didn't even know where she was, but they didn't care.
They didn't care. Wow. So
Nigeria, they didn't even know whether their president was alive or dead. They didn't even know that he wasn't even in Nigeria. But the interesting thing is, if you look at the 70s and the 80s, the era of the military leaders, they will know that there is a different military leader when they see the money, the face of the money has changed, and they start asking, who is this? And then that is when they start hearing that it's a new military leader, because the coups will take place in the barracks. but everything else will be normal. Tell me the single issue menopausal woman who voted for Trump, what difference does she see in her life on the issue that she voted Trump for? She'll never go to an abortion clinic to do anything other than just protesting in a cold winter day.
Right.
And that will continue.
Right. This is this is illuminating. The particularly because it's starting to highlight the fact that the elite are actually just having fun with our stupidity. And we're getting angry with them for doing so, but we don't actually want to be responsible for not being stupid.
Yeah, think of this guy in New Orleans. Very angry with the system. Who does he kill? Fellow poor people who are angry with the same system as he does. Even when he wants to act, he cannot think critically to what his target is. This other one in Trump Tower with the explosive electric car. You start by killing yourself and expect now the explosion from killing yourself will explode the stupid bombs you've put in your car. Human stupidity is something you cannot, the level of human stupidity is beyond imagination. Literally taking poison and starting to celebrate that your enemy is dying.
Wow. In reference to what this means for Africa, as we see these leaders, right? You mentioned that because we think that he made a good soldier, we'll think he'll make a good politician. One thing you said that Africa's politicians are the problem, and that we need a strong male leader. We're seeing that happen in the Sahel states, and we're seeing the vast difference. You have been teaching us about this motif of, is it better to go from 90% down to 60% or from 10% up to 30%? And while 60% is better than 30%, moving down 30% and moving up 20% are two different metrics, right?
Yep.
And they're two different perspectives. You also told me a lot about this perspective test of, half of a room seeing a horse and half of a room seeing a frog in the exact same image, right? Yep. And I've often seen these same things online.
Supposing now the horse was the right thing, how do you convince the ones who have seen the frog that they are in the wrong?
That's what I think is important for us as a general populace to be able to come together and discuss these things, right? You said that the educated...
but the discussion will be based on exactly the same. We have already convinced our mind that it is a frog. The moment I come telling you it can be anything else, you've already blocked. You can't listen. You know it's a frog. So how can you listen to somebody who can't even tell a basic thing like that? This is a frog. It can be a horse. A frog just leaps. A horse can run. They start now basing on it. start making so many conclusions. And they are not wrong. You see, that is the problem. They are not deliberately lying. And now those are poor who believe that you have eaten everything. And that's why you are trying to convince them that it is a horse when they see it is a frog, because you want to kill them. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I'm just listening.
Yeah. You see, after they have seen it is a frog, they start now impugning ill motive on your agenda.
For saying that it's not a
What will
frog.
prevent them from killing you?
Wow.
And this is why you say even those who see a frog, they still need to eat. Those who see a horse, they still need to eat. So the art of the possible is, how do you convince the froggers that you are still the best person to give them food, and the horse people that you are still the best person to give them food, irrespective of what they see? Whatever you see is fine, but I'm talking about food. Your animal will still need to eat. So the one who can make those two things possible in one place then gets to win. Or you can complete the horse and you put the frog on top of it, and you say even when you see a frog, just know it is on top of a horse.
I understand. So if I am not, let's say I am not a layperson or a part of the general populace. Let's say I'm a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm Ibrahim Traore,
Mm-hmm.
and my people are too stupid to know what's good for them. And I
Mm-hmm.
may not be smart enough to know what's good for them, but
Mm-hmm.
I at least was smart enough to get to where I am. What should be the
Mm-hmm.
first thing on my mind?
Nothing, just resign.
Okay. In your expertise, you are a professor and you have been studying political climates for a very long time, especially the
Observing
devolution
it.
and observing, right? Observing it,
Mm-hmm.
especially the devolution of power, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the evolution of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
In your understanding of states and hegemonic stability theory and how power works, when one comes to power, what is the first priority with power?
Acquire more power such that they can't remove you, number one.
So okay, to acquire that power, what is the first thing that
Yep.
you must do?
Yep.
Where would you
Oh,
go?
to acquire it.
Oh, I understand, but is that militarily? Is that propaganda? What would be your modus operandi?
It's exactly like you are asking me, exactly like if you are going to a room and you want to get inside, are you better off with the door marked push, with the door marked pull, with the revolving door, get inside?
It's however you get in.
Get inside. Then the question is, when you are inside, what did you come to do? Because you can still get inside and they kill you. So you are better off when you are outside, away from them. You see, there is the assumption that when you are inside, you are better off than the person who is outside. That is not an a priori decision you can make. It's not a given. Some people just want to be outside, even when they want to be inside. Even when inside, they are going to a gas chamber. And if you were to ask those questions beforehand, you wouldn't want to be a leader.
Wow. So essentially, the people in power are no smarter than the people being overpowered.
They are more suicidal than the people without the power.
They're more suicidal.
You remember the way you say doctors are just, how do you say them?
Doctors make the worst patients.
No, 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 no. Why they went to the profession under normal circumstances, they would just be murderers.
Right.
Only that now they do it in a legal way.
Right.
That's exactly the point. That there is a, a kind of people who are predisposed to want these positions, but they are not necessarily the best to have them. They just want them more than anybody else. And the military guys are there because they know if it doesn't succeed, what will happen to them? Court martial if they will not be shot in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So these are high risk takers. They are suicidal. And when you are dealing with a suicidal man, a maniac who has power, there is nothing they can't do.
Right. Right. And you know, arguably, I'm starting to now see what you meant about the difference between the Sahel states and other parts of Africa, because when you look at the psychology of Ibrahim Traore, he is a soldier who took this high risk, right? Got this high reward, and you know, may be doing a good job relatively, right? But he ultimately is a product of his environment, right? And
Exactly.
and you said something that I think about all the time, that people always deserve the leaders they have. Whatever leader they have is the leader they deserve. And that is something that has stuck with me so much. Um is that essentially saying that everything is as it should be?
You know, there is a joke that is normally given, but technically it's not a joke. Imagine if you went, if you wanted to fly to Nairobi today from DC,
Mhm.
and the first agenda when you get to the plane is to vote to elect the pilot, and nobody wants to investigate whether any of the passengers has a pilot's certificate or can fly or has ever flown any plane. And just somebody says, if you let me pilot you, I'm going to make everybody pay half the fare. I'm going to put all of you in first class. Do you think there is somebody who will not elect that to be the pilot? You have not even asked whether they can, whether they are competent to fly the plane.
Right.
Imagine that is only taking them from DC to Nairobi. But we elect the same people, we elect the same fools to determine the rest of our lives. We can't decide even a driver of a public bus that way, but we do it politically to lead, to determine our resources, all of them. We are investing so much in holding driverless cars accountable, even when we know so much has gone to it that chances of them causing an accident is way less than our human drivers. But we are more afraid of the machines that we are afraid of people who are of an interest to even crash us.
Wow.
And that is how humans are. Because these machines can't promise us any goodies.
So humans are by nature irrational and destructive.
And stupid. And selfish.
Irrational, stupid, destructive, and selfish.
And that's why I am a proponent of Thomas Hobbes.
Hmm.
Yep. We
Ex-
must crush them. We must crush the humans.
wow.
I can't rule unless I am the one in charge of an atomic bomb. And every day I'll be reminding you, you oppose me, you know the risk.
So essentially, that's how we all think. Yet we judge the ones in power.
Yep. We are the ones who put them there. Like now, what reasons do Kenyans have to hate Ruto the way they hate him?
Right.
It's not even 2 years after they elected him, and they were dancing in the streets saying, we are not sleeping. We will wake up there to make you president by 8 in the morning.
So if the most informed voter is a selfish one, would you say the most intelligent person is the most selfish one as well?
No.
Okay. So what would you say would consist of the most intelligent person?
No. But you see,
Mhm.
what is the rationale behind voting?
The rationale is to put someone in power that will advocate for your interests.
And this interest is driven by the majority.
Right.
So, if the majority decide what we do with the minority when we come to power is killing them, would you say somebody who makes that decision is rational? Would you identify that as a rational thinking, a rational thinker?
Within this operating definition, absolutely.
But would anybody see it that way?
Absolutely not.
So you can see selfishness and rationality in public. They can again exist together and exist at exact opposites at the same time.
Hmm.
And that is why, again, I will take you to the Republic, Plato's Republic.
Right.
Is it good to pay your debts? Generally. I'm asking you.
No.
But rationally, that is it. When you borrow, you promise to pay.
Yeah.
So it is just to pay because you promised to. But supposing what you are paying is a sword you had borrowed, and when you give it back, I'm going to kill somebody with it. Is it still just for me to return it, even when I know what you are going to do with it? Even that interest we are talking about, even that rationality is limited. We can't know. It assumes we can know the outcome of an action before we do it, which we know we can't. We assume we know all the alternatives we have before we select, but we have a symmetry of information that we can't tell. So even when you are saying we are rational, it is so stupid because we are so irrational because there is nothing we know. We are electing a teacher to become a president and assuming because he was a good teacher, he will make a good president. There is no connection between the two.
Yeah.
Even if you are a good vice president, there is no evidence that you'll be a better president. You were good as a vice president, doing things at the command of somebody else. When you become the commander, we don't know whether you'll be as good.
Right. Right. I'm starting to see the so it really is the complex portion of humanity that
Yep,
is what we're wrestling with. It's actually not, it has nothing to do uh with political anything. It's truly just a matter of the fact that we are trying to put terms on human nature that is still so complex, um
exactly.
that we haven't actually calculated it yet.
No.
Okay. So this is essentially then our complete misunderstanding of power.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And politics.
Of power and politics. Um
Uh-huh.
so then how should one in your eyes define power?
Well, ability to influence other minds,
So power is
ability to make them do things they wouldn't ordinarily do.
so power is then the is only exercised over others.
Yeah,
Okay. So power cannot exist if it's not being exercised on someone.
no,
Okay. Okay. Why is that?
but we are humans. It is our actions that will tell how powerful we are or how much power we have. It is just how much I can make you do something you wouldn't ordinarily do.
But when I think of something like combat, right? Which is a very,
Mhm.
very simple equation of power. Um
No,
Combat is a very simple equation of power. It's
no. The moment you use force, actual force, you
mhm.
are no longer exercising power. Power is a mental thing.
So power is not physical.
No, it is mental.
Okay. Okay.
Even when it is physical, it must be implied. Like now, when I'm negotiating with you and I have a nuclear bomb, I must make you mentally believe I can destroy you with it. But the moment I destroy you with it, I'm not exercising power. Power is the ability to change your mind before I do anything. And this is why you find hostage takers are always reminded when you do it on an American, you know the mighty force that might be used to get them back. And when the terrorists are willing to die, there is nothing you can do. Israel has destroyed the entire Gaza, but it has not given them the hostages that they are looking for because those holding them are not afraid to die.
Right.
When you can't exercise influence or control over somebody else's mind, then you are not you are powerless. You remember what your daughter told the mother? You can kill me, you can beat me, you can kill me, but you will not be right. That is what I'm talking about. There is no way the mother was more powerful than Meg
Right.
when you get to that situation.
Right. Right. Okay. So
You see,
essentially
my
then the Sahel states are finally powerful.
well, in a sense,
Because if you're saying not being scared to die, right,
mhm,
is a powerful position
mhm.
because your mind can no longer be influenced. And
but remember,
you
but
called
remember,
uh-huh.
remember what I've said.
Mhm.
It is the ability to influence somebody else. The ability not to be influenced doesn't make you powerful.
Ah. And that's what I was going to with combat, right? Is defense.
Yep.
So you don't think defense makes you powerful?
No.
Wow. defense is merely, so defense is what then to you?
Defense? You can't win a fight by defending yourself.
Floyd Mayweather would disagree, man.
No. You must throw a punch.
Yes, but that's why I said combat is not just about punching, but by not getting punched, right? Combat, because remember, war doesn't just may have winners and losers, but it has survivors. So, and to survive, you have to take as little damage as possible, which is why I challenge your definition of power a little bit, because not taking damage is a very powerful position, because if you are constantly, it takes energy to hit me, right? And if your hits don't work, then at the end of the day, I'll be standing, and that's powerful. That's what we saw with the Taliban.
Remember what we said? You can be in two opposite places at the same time.
Yes.
Cowards, those who go and hide. When the fighting is going on, they go and hide. They go and lock themselves in a bunker. When the fight is over, they emerge. Can you say they are powerful in any way?
It's arguable.
Can they be powerful?
It's arguable, man. It's definitely arguable.
You see, you didn't tell me yes. You see, that is the circularity of survival for the fittest.
Right.
And the way you know people are fit is because they have survived. There is no other way of testing that hypothesis.
And fit, I see. So that's why it's not survival of the powerful or the survival of the intellectual. It's simply survival of the fit.
Yeah, but you have no way of establishing the fitness other than the fact that they have survived, which is a circular argument.
Right.
Many of these things are circular like that.
And that's why power is not just defense. That ends the circle right there. That's a brilliant argument. That's a brilliant argument. I cannot refute that. That is logically sound. So then when it comes to the ability to exercise power over someone, to get them to change their mind or to get them to do something, right? Without force, without physical force, right? So then that means that we're now entering the chapter post-Cold War, which was ideological subversion, and where we're at now. Then that means that the power of the information is essentially then what power truly is, what people know or what people don't know, or what people want to know or what they think they know, right? But
now in this day and age of disinformation, the biggest problem in the information age is disinformation. What is even that? Whatever information you have is information. Is there information that is not information?
No.
So now you have elevated lies and truths
to the exact same playing field.
Exactly. The question is just who has a louder mouth, who has access to a wider audience. That is even more dangerous than where we were, where some people controlled. To me, an elitist world is way better than a liberal one.
Wow. Expand on that.
At least it is predictable. Institutions, even when they are discriminatory, they are predictable. Everybody knows if they want to survive, what they need to do. Even the KK was predictable. Don't go near it. Don't challenge it. You knew what to do to survive. In the liberal world, we do not know what to do to survive. You don't even know your enemy.
And they don't even know themselves.
Exactly.
And that's the recipe
They are as
for complete
afraid.
loss.
They are as afraid of the unknown as you are afraid of them. And this is why the Cold War was more stable than the multipolar world now we are in.
Wow. So with all this being said, now that we're coming to this head with these two hegemons, these three actually. We got China, we got Russia, and we have the United States. And this guy that blew up his Tesla, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy was in the military and was talking about how China was responsible for these drones and how the United States knows about them, and how, in particular, the UAPs that were flying over New Jersey were Chinese operated, and that certain aspects of certain operatives in the government knew about this, and that they're hiding it. Why? What angle could we be missing about this particular piece? Why would the United States want to hide that from the American people?
No, that is not even the question. The question is this day of this age of the information age.
I'm listening.
What do they even want a drone to tell you that they can't just hack the government systems and get what they want to know?
Wow.
What is it that they don't already know? The other day we realized that the Chinese have been in our treasury for years. You are relying on software that is made by the Chinese. You rely, everybody is using TikTok that is controlled by the Chinese.
Right. Keep
and
going.
now you
I'm
start
listening.
imagining when the Chinese want to get information, they will fly a drone in some place in New Jersey, unless they want to know the smell of the manure in New Jersey. What is there in New Jersey for something to interest the Chinese? When they can just get to your treasury, to your Department of Defense, to your presidency and get the information they want. It's exactly the same as the Chinese themselves building the Great Wall of China to prevent the enemies. And when the enemies came, they just entered through open doors. The 3 times they were attacked by people who just entered through the doors.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So again, what would the motives be for keeping the people in the dark, right?
Which people in the dark?
About what's going on?
What do you mean what is going on?
As in, like, okay, if they know who is responsible for these drones, why not tell us?
No. My question is, you are only looking at the drones. But the Chinese are in your libraries, the Chinese are in your offices, the Chinese are everywhere. Why are you not concerned about that?
Very true. Very true.
The drones are a non-entity. You see, this is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard from anybody.
Wow.
You know, I tell you now, having an argument with you, it's good for this reason. Have you ever? Well, you are not married. I've been married. I know I have had women complain about unfaithful men. Do you know the thing that annoys the women the most about their husbands cheating?
What?
He slept on my bed. They used my sheets. That is the most annoying of the entire thing.
Wow.
He brought her to my sheets. And you wonder, you are not bothered about how much money she was given. You are not bothered about how long they have been together. You're only worried that they slept on your sheets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
that is the stupidity of humans.
okay. And this is what I'm asking you, right? How should we look at it? How should
Look at
we
what?
how should we look at how should a common person, right? Because remember, this is for educational and entertainment purposes. How should a common person then reframe their mind, right? You as being
From
someone
what?
from someone who would be focusing on the drones to then
No, go to work. Get money. Is that drone preventing you from going to work? Go to work. And when you have time, go to sleep. Unless those drones are interesting, they are beautiful, you want to go and watch them for entertainment. There are so many things that are of more significance to you happening every day. So now we start with the drones. So now you want to tell me the Chinese airlines that come in and out of America can't just have the same technology as the drones in them and they take whatever they want to take?
wow.
What is the difference between a flying drone and a flying plane? You ask me, the belly of the plane can just have as many cameras as the drone. What will prevent them from having that?
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant
You
analysis.
see, this is a non-entity to me.
Mm-hmm.
If the Chinese wanted to collect data, there are better ways. There are better ways of collecting more clandestine ways.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see. I see. This makes it very clear that you know, we really are at such a gap between understanding power and our role in it, right? Um, because we haven't even fully conceptualized the range of capability that in cybersecurity we call them APTs, advanced persistent threats, right? That's a government, that's an entity. We really have not conceptualized the ability that governments have, um, and that people and ideologies uh, um, have made over time, and that
Victor,
I'm sorry.
stop being like as stupid as the common man.
Mm-hmm,
We have not even established, number one, whether they are drones.
mm-hmm.
Number two, we have not established whether even the government knows what they are. And number three, we don't even know whether a government can differentiate between my drone and a Chinese drone. They are all from China. 90% of the drones in America are from China. So how do you differentiate the drone that I have bought from China and the one that is in the same space looking exactly the same, but now doing the bidding for the Chinese? How do you differentiate the two?
Wow. Wow. So so these conflicts then essentially are just illusions.
They are illusions, exactly. That is the best word. It's all illusions. The same thing, either frog or a horse. It's exactly the same thing. The problem is that we have deluded our brain so much that even the image that we see as the actual image has nothing to do with what is in our brain. What is in our brain is already there.
Mm. Mm.
And the question is whether we see a horse or we see a frog, so what?
We still have to eat today.
Exactly. That's why I say go to work. You see, people are busy asking or finding out whether the glass is half full or is half empty. And I tell them that is the wrong question.
You should ask where the spigot is.
No, the question is if I want more water is to go and look for the person who has the other water for me, who has taken the water from me. Because whether it is full or whether it is half full or half empty, at least somebody has taken my water. That is the person I want to get and get my water back.
Mm.
The question is, if the government was to tell us it is Chinese drones, so what?
I think that's it. That's the question that is the highlight of what you should ask when it comes to politics. To know the importance of something, you should ask, so what? I think
No,
that's
the best
brilliant.
thing is just ignore politics, go to school, get a good job, earn a living, take care of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to be a politician. And if you want to be a politician, I will still tell you, go to school, make so much money, and then buy everybody else. Or get the biggest gun and kill everybody else, and then subdue the others, and then become a dictator.
Right.
But then you won't sleep because every time you'll be wondering whether somebody else has acquired a bigger gun than you.
Right.
And eventually they will. Or somebody have access to yours and then they use it against you.
Nah, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. It really takes politics out of this field that has nothing to do with you and brings it back to everything to do with you, right?
Yep.
And I think that's where content in the political space is going. It's leaving this concept that is subject I, object you, and going into subject object me, right? Which is how can I become more powerful as a person in general? Screw how I vote, screw who is elected, screw any position that is believed to be the destiny maker of my life, right? And I think that is what a lot of Gen Z and millennials feel, is they feel powerless and they believe that a group or a system can restore that power within them. And so ultimately, I think what you're saying is, to capture a peasant, we must get them to ask, so what? And we must also get them to think about power as themselves, not as a leader. So, what would a leader need to do to get that to happen?
Find a way of making them disinterested in what you are doing. The biggest problem that we are facing today, it is caused by the leaders. They have introduced power to people who should never have come close to power. Remember, democracy was meant to be a very elitist game. Males with property. And the purpose of it was to protect it.
Right.
Now you have invited to the table people who have no property. So they have no interest in making rules to protect property that they don't have. When you are talking about Gen Zs, that is exactly what it is. You must first of all ask them, have you finished school? Did you do well in school? If no, then you tell them to go back to school. They have no business in politics. They have no business in determining who is going to govern them when they can't get a job, when they can't feed themselves. Because now, when they are making you president, they will blackmail you to start feeding them. They are unable to feed themselves, and now they give you that responsibility. Hell no. I will tell them, you don't come to me for any handouts. If anything, I want you to work so that I can tax you. And when you rebel against it, I dominate you.
Right. Right. I see.
Now, peasants are forgetting that they are supposed to be the source of finances for the treasury. Now they want treasury to feed them. Treasury doesn't have any money other than the one it has extracted from them. They are the object of extraction, not the other way around. And that is the stupidity that I say of modern politics. They have put the cart before the horse.
Meaning they don't know their role.
They are the ones who are supposed to be providing the state with funds, not the other way around. The state doesn't have its own funds. When the majority come demanding for handouts from the state, where is it coming from? The state steals 30% from them and gives them back 10. It still maintains 20. That is the only way the state survives. And that 20, it invests a lot in getting the instruments of war to make sure that if they rebel, it can contain them.
Right. 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 Everyone hates the government until they need the government.
Exactly. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever been in some crowd where they were demonstrating against the police? Then instantly, some people start stealing from them, and they start complaining, "Where are the police?"
Oh yeah, for sure. See that
Or you
happen a
are
lot.
overspeeding at night and praying that there is no police officer. Then you get a puncture, and all of a sudden you are praying a police vehicle passes you. That is the nature of humanity.
Mm. Mm.
And that is the humanity that some people want to rule.
Wow. Wow. So essentially then the best form of power is actually outside of a political position.
This is the military one when you have the biggest gun and hope they will not challenge you.
Mm.
You must display it.
Mm.
Have you ever watched the Godfather movies?
Yeah, I thought they were extremely illuminating, especially watching Michael Corleone's transition into power and how much his father taught him. You know, I
Think
thought
of
it was brilliant.
this. I want you remember in one of the movies somebody finds a horse head.
Yeah.
Imagine finding a horse head in your bed when you live in State House. That is somebody who's telling you, I don't want to kill you, but I can kill you anytime I want. All I want is you to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
When you find that, when that person calls you to the table, do you think you'll open your mouth to say anything else other than yes?
Absolutely not.
But shooting and missing, that guy will tell you, you can kill me, but I will die fighting you. In one, they have exercised power over you. In the other one, they have not. And that is the difference.
You make being a common man sound very, very, very good.
But it is very, very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
A common man who is not so ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, very good position.
Right. Right.
In fact,
You
as a
prevent a lot
common
of
man, I
pain.
even see the pains that principals go through just to make the school run. And I ask them honestly, you applied for this job knowing this is what you are to go through? You don't employ teachers, but when there is a teacher, you are the one suffering? Absolutely no. I don't want that position.
Wow. Wow. That's man, that
Victor,
is
hebu nichukue simu zingine zimekuja hapa, sijui watu
no problem,
wananitafutia
man.
nini.
This was a solid episode. This is
Yeah, but
a great introduction.
let's have this more frequent. Let's have this more frequent. You
For
can
sure.
edit them to be what you want.
Yeah.
But let's have these discussions more